You know, starting off, we knew that as a cold front was coming through the area, some cold, real cold air was coming down. Temperatures, I mean, from going from in the 60s, 70s, going down into the 30s, like 35, 38. And with the lake being as warm as it was, with temperatures in the 60s, we knew that cold air would cause some snow, but we knew some snow would be coming.
Thursday, all of that begins to move off to the east. The colder air comes in. It's going to be a southwesterly fetch. You can see the lake effect event setting up right now. I hate to say it, everyone's asking about the snow, and it looks more and more like the perfect storm.
You're getting us a little nervous now. We're talking.
You should be.
With the ground as warm as it was, we knew, okay, well, there's going to be a little snow, a little rain mixing in. We thought, okay, all right, this is going to come down, it's going to melt because the ground is warm. It wasn't until about, I'd say, the wee hours of the morning, probably around 2 o'clock a.m., that it started coming down a little heavier. We knew that overnight the winds were to shift and this was going to move up toward Ontario. Didn't happen. And it came down hard, it came down fast. And it was at that point that we knew, okay, this could be a big one. We had leaves on the trees, which is something that we never get. This is an unprecedented type of storm, meaning that we never get lake effect snow this early. We've gotten snow this early, but because it's been so warm, it would just disappear. But this much snow, this fast, this heavy, something we've never seen before. And by now, we had at least, I'd say, a good 8 inches of snow on the ground. It's still coming down, and all I'm hearing is crack, crack, boom, you know, from the limbs breaking down.
Oh, hey.
Typically, when you're talking lake effect snow, you're talking Buffalo and Western New York. But certainly unexpected, especially for this early in the year. Never happened before. Historical. We're talking 24, as much as 24 to 30 inches in some spots of the metro area and beyond. And when you're talking lake effect snow, you're talking Buffalo, New York. This is going in the history books. This is something that students, meteorology students, will study for a time to come. You know, these type of events. I mean, lake effect snow is still being studied today. This is early October, you know, and so this Arctic air came in. We knew it was coming. We knew temperatures would drop into the 30s, but the winds were just right. This, for us, was the perfect storm.
It was such a contrast Friday to wake up. Beautiful sunshine. I mean, to see the light bouncing off of, you know, the snow, the crystal.
And I looked out my window and I was just blown away. And all of a sudden the sun peeked out. I thought, okay, maybe the weather is over.
Then you really took a good look and you saw all the damage in your yard. It was just incredible.
It is just chaos outside.
The 90s backed up from Blaisdell to Buffalo. Cars have been there since 10 o'clock last night.
Here's what you can hear. You can hear lightning every few minutes. You can hear the crackling of branches every few minutes.
There is not a road in this area that is really safe to pass.
As we started watching pictures from our crews in different areas of Western New York, we all began to realize just how big of a storm we were up against.
I saw a spot in Bowmansville where a fire crew couldn't get to put out a car and it totally burned up to nothing because they couldn't get a fire engine down the road. And I'm down at the airport here. I've seen 2 planes with the tails of the plane sitting on the ground and the front wheel and the nose of the plane about 8 to 10 feet off the ground.
The plane at the airport was like nothing I have ever seen or ever thought I could see.
I've never seen anything like it. An airplane popping a wheelie on the tarmac.
You deal with them one plane at a time, and each airline has their crews out there. And people, for the most part, are just walking if they can get out of their streets. They say it's just a mess, and they can't even think about getting a car down these streets.
The tops are leveled off of every tree when you look out your window. It's crazy. The cars are buried with trees. It's like a war zone right now.
This is the worst, because I never seen in my life so many trees knocked down. I have around my house about 10 big, huge maple trees. They're all just down to the ground. They're totally gone.
We were just sitting and we heard this very loud snap bang, thought it was a tree, and we ran downstairs and looked over, and it was our neighbor's porch.
Gary, good morning. I understand you've been stuck out there for a while.
Yes, good morning. I've been out
That poor
here.
guy, he called in. We talked to him at 5, we talked to him at 7, we talked to him at 9, and he hadn't moved.
I've been out here since about midnight.
Oh, Gary. My heart went out to Gary on Friday morning.
I'm in front of the Clarence Service Center, and I have not moved.
Gary, have you moved at all?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Still stuck in the same spot I was last night.
They've been there since 11 o'clock last night.
When he said,
12 hours, Gary Lamka joined
I'm
us
off
now
the
by-
throughway.
Gary, how are you?
I'm doing a lot better now.
Oh, what's happening, Gary?
I think there was an ovation in the studio, because it wasn't just me, it wasn't just Jody. The whole studio, just a sigh of relief.
They finally got us out, and
Power lines are down everywhere. I just went under them.
Kind of dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah, but I wanted to get my dad.
Okay, tell me about that.
My dad is, he's recovering from cancer, and without electricity, I want to pick him up.
What are you going to do, take him back to your place?
Yeah, I have a fireplace.
How's he doing? Have you spoken to him?
No. He's right there. I'm gonna plow through it. If I have to, I'll walk and get him.
I couldn't believe the devastation. Some of the branches were through roofs, on top of cars. People couldn't pass.
Tree limbs down, trees falling onto houses. Incredible, incredible damage.
This is like nothing that's ever happened here before. This is going to make stories around the world.
Two on Your Side's October Storm, Stories to Remember, will continue in a moment. You're watching Two on Your Side's October Storm, Stories to Remember.
A lot of people are saying that this was definitely the worst storm that they've ever been through in Western New York, at least in terms of total damage.
People have to be very, very vigilant and careful in their behavior because we are in a state of an emergency.
At one point, I think at its height, there were about 389,000 people at one time without power.
This is a natural disaster. There was a high of 75,000 homes without power in the city.
Our city was dark.
We do expect that the final customers being returned to service will likely be next weekend. So we're looking at an 8 or 9 day time period. This, by any measure, is the most significant storm damage we've ever experienced in western New York.
The Erie County Water Authority is issuing a water restriction for all of Erie County. That is because the Sturgeon Point pumping station is unable to operate due to the power outage.
I remember at one point, Saturday morning, we heard that we just might run out of water. And when the producers told me that, that's when we knew this was huge.
The Erie County Health Commissioner says this area is in danger of running out of water this evening.
And for days, we had to boil all our water just to make sure we wouldn't get sick.
We have estimates that there is about 10 million yards of debris out there. Each yard of debris weighs about 1 ton.
That's 57,000 truckloads in Amherst. Like a spoonful in the ocean. That's how the Amherst Highway Superintendent characterizes the amount of debris his crews have been able to pick up so far, and he says they need help.
I don't even know where to begin to get some of this stuff out. I mean, I got limbs hanging from trees.
I have no power, I have no phone, nothing.
The cost to Erie County for the removal of debris is about $150 million.
Sure, you know, we can clean the lawn, get the debris out of there, we can refill our refrigerators, clean up the dead trees. We'll get through it. But Western New York will never be the same.
And you're out of power for 4, 5, 6, 7 days. You know, then it doesn't become fun anymore. The novelty wears off. Then it becomes a very stressful situation.
Today you could say that gasoline was a more precious commodity than even gold. This is the Delta Sonic at Maple and Niagara Falls Boulevard, and you see the line there. It was about a half-mile long.
Can't get the car out. Got the four-wheel drive is stuck behind the small car right now, so hopefully later today.
Mike Turner's mom has no power at her house.
Need to get the fridge and the heater going.
How long you been without power?
Since about 20 after 5 this morning.
Meanwhile, over at the Wegmans down the road, it was generator power here as well. If you were looking for flashlights, well, forget about that. And the same thing for bottled water. And catching back up with Mike Turner, good news. The generator is gassed up and good to go, and that means the sump pump is back in business in the basement.
It's going to be a long weekend.
You got enough candles?
I hope so. If not, I'm going to have to go get some.
Utility companies and other firms pitching in with distribution of dry ice and bottled water. This was the scene this morning at the Southline Fire Station in Cheektowaga.
Sears receiving a shipment of 500 generators. Some Western New Yorkers arriving as early as 10 o'clock last night to get them.
It hasn't been fun 2 days.
This is what happened to Kelly Burns and Jim Hickey's wedding weekend, right when family and friends were arriving. 270 guests and a wedding party of 32 had to be told the wedding is off.
And I feel that if we can get through this, then we can get through anything in our relationship.
It doesn't matter if they live in the city of Buffalo, if they lived in Depew, Lancaster, Snyder, Williamsville. The frustration is starting to kick in just a little bit more.
But as the wait got longer, tempers actually began to flare.
He told me he's going to a wedding, so he decides that he's going to come up and cut through everybody. We got directions, we listened. We waited a half hour, used this side of the pumps. Walden Avenue uses that side of the pumps.
How frustrating is this?
How frustrated? If you took my blood pressure right now, I guarantee you, it's way sky high.
And with all that snow melting and people across Western New York without electricity, that means basements across the area are flooding.
It's just another problem they have to deal with, right? They're getting by with generators, and they're getting by with a little help from each other. But a lot of basements across Western New York are flooded. In the Amherst home, there's a small pump that just isn't doing the trick.
He doesn't want a house anymore. Yes, he want to sell it,
I don't want to live in a house anymore.
One woman we met was Mrs. Coleman, 75 years old, lives on the east side. She'd been without power for days, but there wasn't an angry bone in her body. She was as pleasant as could be, even though she had to throw out food from her refrigerator.
This is hamburger, and we have to throw it out because she done thawed.
This is what 6 days in the dark sounds like.
Well, actually, this was a wall that was here that we actually tore down to prevent a mold. We're trying to prevent any mold for developing.
And this is what it looks like, a downstairs bathroom ruined.
It's getting really bad.
Without power to fire up the sump pump.
We weren't expecting anything like this of this sort.
The repair crews are doing their best. You can find them spread out across every neighborhood, every part of the city, every suburb. But after 7 nights, patience is running out.
Hard to look across the street and see power and not in our own, our own side, especially when you have had crews out to work on the trees in the back lot and things like that.
Brad and Eleanor Cole and their cats have tried to stay optimistic, but the cold makes it tough.
You could definitely see your breath as you were
In
just
your
talking.
house.
In your house, yeah, right down here, right here.
Many Cheektowaga residents on Beach Street near Cleveland Drive are toughing it out for yet another night.
It's crazy. It's like you don't have TV. You can only read so much with candles, and you go stir crazy. I've been sleeping on the couch with a couple of blankets because it tends to stay warmer down here.
And this is why Danielle occasionally lights the gas burners and heats a pot of water. In Amherst, different town, same story. Peter and Kathy Reister have used this camping lantern for heat. Making matters worse, Kathy is recovering from knee surgery and can't get around.
And he's made dinner. We have a gas stove downstairs so he can cook. So it was, you'd get a bowl of soup, and that was great. I mean, you wouldn't think you'd get excited over a bowl of soup.
It's fairly tragic, fairly sad, but it seems as though from your perspective, the number of suicide and suicide attempts have been up during the storm, correct?
Yes, we've noticed that increase from the daily amounts, and that's very concerning, obviously, although not surprising. People are under quite a bit of stress, obviously.
We're just ready to get back to normal.
Timothy Cardinal is still without power, and so is everyone else on his block here in Snyder. And the only thing left to do is wait.
Now it's kind of like, whenever it comes on, it comes on. What are you going to do?
But not everyone is thinking that way. For some, frustrated doesn't even begin to describe it.
Frustrated? Yeah. Who's going to reimburse me? Yeah. All right, nobody.
I'm cold, I'm on antibiotics, I've spent $1,500 staying in different hotels. I've been thrown out of 4 different hotels because they're full and I have to go find another hotel.
Crews are out in full force, but they say it's a big job. Would you say there's a lot more work to be done?
There's a lot of work to be done. We're going to be here 2 months or better.
And then as the days go on, and you see the devastation, and you realize that these power companies really can't get to your lines if they're in the backyard, you become a little bit more frustrated. Life changed. You were living with flashlights, you were living with candles, and the candles are burning out.
Two on Your Side's October Storm, Stories to Remember, will continue in a moment. You're watching Two on Your Side's October Storm, Stories to Remember.
The beauty of this area is that everybody really came together. I'd heard about it before. Yeah, we had 7 feet of snow in 2001 when my daughter was born in that snowstorm, and everybody came together then. But this was different. This community just came together like nothing I've ever seen before. It was incredible to see.
It was a big help.
I see people out helping each other pull each other's cars out of the snow and everything. It's cool. I like that. I like living in a community like that.
And amidst the organized chaos, one tremendous act of goodwill. A Clarence man who saw the long lines on TV and arrived with coffee and snacks to feed.
All right, Jack, want to do the treats?
Sure.
All right. We were fortunate enough to have electricity, first of all, and we have a lot more than these people do right now, so here we are.
People who'd never even met each other began taking care of each other and taking care of each other's families. I think the story of a man who lost his daughter 3 weeks prior to his basement flooding with 6 feet of water.
These sort of floated out. They're pictures of my family and my daughter.
Photos he did manage to salvage, and how important that was. His only daughter, Deirdre, died of breast cancer just 3 weeks ago.
This is peanuts, actually, compared to her.
A Two on Your Side viewer heard of his troubles.
That would be great.
Offered up his generator and gas-powered pump to get the water out.
I am very happy to get it, and
grateful to both of you.
But the fact that he's alive at all is a storm story worth telling.
When I seen him laying on the ground, I didn't think he was going to make it at all. I thought he was done.
Buster's owners, Tiffany and Kevin Shinowski, lost power Thursday night. They had their fridge hooked up to a generator on Sunday when Buster, who reportedly never chews anything, chewed his way through the generator cord.
All of a sudden I heard this sizzling noise, and I thought it was something wrong with my fridge. I got up, I looked, and sure enough, there was my dog foaming at the mouth with a cord in his mouth.
Tiffany was in a panic, but in the city of good neighbors, she called up a great one.
Can you give me kisses?
Next door neighbor Tom Smith, who did the only thing he could think of, CPR.
When she handed him to me, he was stiff as a board because all of his muscles and nerves locked up completely. I had to use all my strength to pry his mouth open and just try giving him mouth-to-mouth to see if it would do anything.
It did. The mouth-to-mouth kept Buster going long enough to get him to the vet for extra oxygen.
The vet said that without me trying to initiate it and get his brain back into knowing to breathe and his heart going, that he would have just died. They said a million times, you know, we don't know how to repay you. I don't want nothing in return. I think the defining image of the recovery and the neighbors helping neighbors was Trina's picture of the firemen coming through the pine trees in knee-deep snow carrying a generator to save her son.
He has a food pump and a nebulizer, suction machine.
So losing power is not a good thing.
It's devastating.
Then it happened. At 2 a.m. Friday morning, the power went out. Anthony can only survive for a matter of hours without his equipment. The Stinsons have an emergency generator, but after just an hour, it too stopped working.
I was in a state of panic trying to think what it was I could possibly do. I'm like, we can't stay here if I can't get him power.
Volunteers from the Bellevue Fire Department used one of their biggest trucks to cut through the snow.
When we got to the initial street, just looking down and seeing nothing but trees and branches and cars and everything else, so we knew we were in for a long haul at that point.
When rescue crews finally arrived, they took a generator off their own truck to power Anthony's equipment, a potentially life-saving situation in the middle of the biggest October snowstorm in Buffalo history.
I think more than ever, the spirit of this city will be strong, because I think what makes this city a great city, it really is the spirit of the people. And as many times as we get pushed back down, we'll get back up.
We need all kinds of help. We need help to get this cleared up.
Thousands of power crews came from all over the country, and it really made you feel good when you saw Pennsylvania, Ohio, you saw Massachusetts. It was heartwarming.
We just got to find it, walk it out, do what we need to do.
There was a lot of damage here. I was talking to the crew from Toledo Edison. They thought it was worse than Katrina.
They were like rock stars.
What's it feel like to flip that switch and turn power on for someone?
Oh, it's pretty nice seeing those smile on people's faces.
Come on, you're like rock stars.
For a week anyway.
You gotta take it while you can.
Yeah, that's right.
We're glad they're here. They say they're from Cleveland, you know? They say they got a plan. That's good.
I was
satisfaction in this job is when you leave at night and it's getting dark and you look over your shoulder and the lights are on.
I remember in Amherst, the politician said it's kind of like a drop in the ocean, 150.
The National Guard has agreed to come in and help with the cleanup in Amherst as well as Tonawanda. That would be a wonderful help.
A lot of the problem is, of course, all the debris that's blocking some of the lines and can't allow some of the utility workers to get to where they need to go. But the National Guard is in town to help out with all of the debris cleanup.
What we're doing is focusing on those areas that are impassable.
So that's going to be very helpful because I think still people just don't even know what to do.
Well, they're welcome to it. They can have all that I've got there. I won't charge them for it.
Two on Your Side's October Storm, Stories to Remember, will continue in a moment. You're watching Two on Your Side's October Storm, Stories to Remember.
It was an inconvenience for everybody. But then we realized that this was a deadly storm. Throughout the week, 13 people died. 13 people.
59-year-old James Mullen, killed Friday by a falling branch in his own driveway in Gettsville. The youngest victim, 15-year-old Keith Koznick of Lancaster.
Anytime you lose anyone, especially a young person, it's very traumatic to the community.
Hit by a truck while walking during the storm Thursday night.
Any kind of loss of life all of a sudden takes a situation that seems ordinary, maybe benign, something we go through annually, and all of a sudden puts a scare in everybody.
Off-duty State Trooper Michael Anders in Newfane. The car he was riding in hit by a tractor-trailer Friday morning.
One of the cases is a person who went down their basement stairs to relight the pilot light and fell down the stairs and died.
87-year-old Rose Walker and her tenant, 91-year-old Isel Bowick, were killed by carbon monoxide poisoning.
Her tenant, the 91-year-old man, had gotten robbed over there prior to this incident, and therefore he was afraid. And that's why the generator was in the back hallway. It's just a terrible state that we're in right now.
Nothing like this has ever happened. This is so sad, okay? We lost two good people.
When you hear that, it really puts a human face to this storm. Trees are one thing, they'll come back, but some of these families will be changed forever.
The trees will, of course, never forget. They'll never be the same.
It hit me like a ton of bricks. These trees were all sagging and moaning, and I knew right away.
And you could stand out there and just hear the crackling as the trees were coming down one after another. And looking down the dark streets and seeing nothing down the middle of the street except trees and power lines.
Look at that. I mean, the trees are just so destroyed.
I was born and raised in Buffalo, and one thing about Buffalo, you can go down certain streets and it has a distinct look because of the trees.
The trees are dead. The one in the back, I don't want to talk about it no more because I'll start crying.
One storm has forever changed the look of Buffalo.
So many trees have been ruined. The block doesn't look the same. I mean, it was such a beautiful block before.
Even out in the suburbs, I mean, they fell just like toothpicks. They're going to change the landscape of Western New York.
Yeah, you're hard-pressed to find really a single property that doesn't have, either a tree down or branches or, some kind of mess there. Visually, it is still quite intimidating, to drive down streets that you know so well, and you're used to seeing beautiful streets and trees, and unfortunately most of them are broken now.
Drove through Delaware Park, and it just I wanted to cry. Delaware Park just looked, words can't describe.
These people's children's grandchildren that are going to see the Western New York that we had here before, the landscape's entirely just, changed.
Two on Your Side's October Storm, Stories to Remember, will continue in a moment. You're watching Two on Your Side's October Storm, Stories to Remember.
When the storm happened, we were in our house, and then we heard this gun sound, and this tree split right in half.
I was shaking. We were really sad because that has been there for over 100 years.
Years from now, they're going to think back and say, boy, that was something else.
We saw the snow. My brothers were hoping that we would have a snow day, and my mom's like, we're not going to have a snow day. It's October.
They've forced schools to close for the entire week. The list includes Amherst, Williamsville.
Years from now, it'll be interesting to hear how kids talk about this storm. I remember the blizzard of '77 and this incredible amount of snow and being glad that school was over for a while. And I think kids will probably feel the same way too. It was kind of fun, but at the same time too, by day 6 or 7, that fun sort of wore off.
It was like, oh, it's camp. And then as the days went on, I was like, oh no, not again.
My friend, she had to sleep downstairs because our room was crashed.
It was a disaster. Well, I was just glad that we were all together and nobody was hurt. My family was really important because I didn't want them to go outside and, something happened to them. We all needed each other because we were close, huddled up together because we were cold. We talked a lot more than we usually do because, we weren't in front of the TV and stuff, and that was really nice.
I had to just look at the things and think about it and say, well, some people never had electricity, so better not take things for granted. And I better be thankful for what I already have. And I just prayed for people that they were all right and that they would be all right for the rest of the storm and the devastation.
My kids, they ran around the house. They ran outside, played in the snow. It was interesting to see it through kids' eyes. They saw the snow was fun, and they wanted to make snowmen. And a lot of adults, we saw it as destructive. A lot of adults wanted to cry.
Well, it was a few days into the storm. I mean, everybody had it. Stressed, cold, tired, sick of bailing out your basement and throwing out all your wet stuff. And then we've got that moment to smile and cheer. And our team came through for us.
Amidst everything we've been dealing with today, there is a respite from all the trouble in the form of the Sabres game against the Rangers.
The game is scheduled to be played tonight. The Rangers are in town. The team made it back from Detroit last night. They are in town.
A lot of people's main concern was getting next to a radio so they could listen to the Sabres.
Almost 3 minutes into this opening period.
The Sabres game is on at a restaurant in my neighborhood. It is a packed house. I mean, people waiting for tables are 3 and 4 deep. And every time the Sabres scored, the roof came off the place. And luckily, they scored 7 times that night.
this team right now, great escape from the current situations at home.
Everybody's sitting around in the dark. This isn't going to stop them. This is what this town's about.
People are gathered around the radio, hanging on every word coming out of Rick Jenneret's mouth, looking for something to grab onto, something to provide joy, and luckily the Sabres did that.
Are you kidding? Right now my basement is flooding and I'm watching the Buffalo Sabres in a 4-goal lead. It doesn't get any better.
It's just the character of the people in this city. I think, you know, they battle through anything, and it's pretty nice. You know, we didn't kind of know what to expect tonight, and then you walk out there and the building's full.
You know, I thought the reaction was priceless. You know, they just had a great night. You know, in the middle of this state of emergency, they were having a lot of fun, and we're happy to provide it.
You come to the rink and you see the number of people that show up, knowing that there's probably a good number at home with the garage door open and the generator running still, which you know, kudos to them. I think that's a big enough lift for our team alone.
They wanted to do it for the people of Western New York. That made you feel great.
Two on Your Side's October Storm, Stories to Remember, will continue in a moment. You're watching Two on Your Side's October Storm, Stories to Remember.
There are some pictures, some video of this storm that we're absolutely never going to forget. The cross, those tree branches that just fell into the arms of that statue of Jesus.
But look what's around it. It should have been smashed.
I mean, it was scary. I mean, I'm kind of I'm a veteran photojournalist. I've seen a lot of things. Most things don't faze me at all.
There's something that just brings out all of your emotion.
I saw that and I started getting shivers.
All this destruction around, but one flower in a pot that was still blooming.
To get a shot of the thruway, my goal was to go down Genesee Street to Gunville Road and get an overhead shot from Gunville Road. Well, I never could make it all the way to Gunville Road because there was a couple of Bowmansville volunteers and a car that was up on Genesee Street that just totally burned down to the ground. There was nothing left of it because they couldn't get a fire truck down there. I was getting a shot down Como Park Boulevard and the whole sky just lit up blue. And that lasted for about 5 seconds and then everything just turned black. So I turned around and decided, well, my next goal is the airport. I wanted to get people, I knew they were stuck in the airport. As I noticed, as I looked out to my right, there were two planes that actually had the nose of the plane sticking about 10 feet up in the air. The weight of the snow was so heavy on the tail that it literally tipped the plane like a seesaw.
Traffic stopped at about 11, and we started moving about 10.
This morning.
This morning.
And those trees were just sagging under the weight of the snow. It almost looked like they were in pain. It almost looked like the trees were in pain. It was just like they were just being oppressed and pushed over and saying, no more, no more, no more.
I've covered a hurricane. I've covered the ice storm in Watertown. And this is one of the worst things in 13 years in television I've ever seen. This is bad. I just remember thinking, my God, it's going to take years to recover from this. Just the trees alone. When you think about planting a tree, you know, it's 50, 60 years from now, we'll finally see that recovery. And I just thought, you know, this is going to take a generation to recover from.
Friday, I knew, maybe just innately, I knew it was going to be big because I packed a bag at home because I thought, you know what, there's a chance that I may get to the station, but I may not get home. So I just remember packing everything that I needed and a couple days worth of clothes, thinking that, you know what, if things continue to develop like I think they might. But what was deceiving for me was that in North Tonawanda, it was kind of a strange scenario because people on the south end of town got twice as much snow as the people in the north. So when I looked out my window, we only had about 3.5, 4 inches of snow, and I thought, okay, well, maybe it's not that bad. And then, as I drove out of town, it was a completely different scenario before I had even crossed the Erie Canal to get out of NT. All of a sudden, I could see a lot more, damage, a lot more devastation by the older trees in town, and again, the weight of snow on them, and I got a taste of what really the majority of Erie County experienced. Yeah, I think everybody was shocked at the number of people who lost power. But then when you stop and you reflect on it and you saw, let me put it this way, when you stop and you think about geographically what our area looks like and the number of trees and how the power lines are so entwined in those trees, yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer. But to the extent that it had happened in such a short amount of time was really kind of mind-blowing, because never had we had an outage quite that big that affected quite that many people, and then just instantly, where do you go to help? How do you help that many people right away? To realize that even if you stayed inside your home, you weren't necessarily safe. That having a generator, which in many cases, became a lifeline for people, that was creating a deadly circumstance. I think the boil water order scared a lot of people, because instantly when you think about, your water supply not being safe necessarily, that's kind of frightening. That really hits home. But any kind of loss of life all of a sudden takes a situation that seems ordinary, maybe benign, something we go through annually, and all of a sudden puts a scare in everybody. So I'm glad. I think the death toll could have been much higher if Western New Yorkers weren't as experienced as we are. I think people have really learned, maybe in the days since 9/11, to really heed an emergency warning and to accommodate and to make changes and maybe be better prepared. Maybe that's what helped us out so much, is that so many of us had battery supplies, had a plan, had a way to take care of each other and get in touch with family and make sure that everybody was okay. I think frustration is understandable. We've gotten used to so many conveniences that to not have it, it gets to a point where it's inconvenient, and you tell yourself, I have to put up with this for a little while, but it gets to a point where you think, shouldn't this be fixed by now? And maybe that's just being an American and just making that assumption that even though there's a problem, there's a solution that's on the horizon and we're going to be able to face it. And unfortunately, because of the magnitude of this problem, it wasn't anything that was going to be fixed quickly. And I think it's just human nature. You want to point a finger or find out why. You just have that expectation, living in our society, living in our country, that it could come quickly. And certainly all the lessons and the very frightening video we watched during Hurricane Katrina, I think, taught everyone, you don't make assumptions. You need to act. You need to ask the tough questions, if you will, of all our elected officials and all our agencies to make sure that our people are getting taken care of. So the frustration is not necessarily a bad thing.
It was just like any other night in the newsroom. Everything was fine. We knew a storm was coming. But, everything was running pretty fine. We had a couple inches of snow. We knew that snow was on the way. Then all of a sudden the phone started to ring. You can always tell when you work in a newsroom when things start to change a little bit. The phones start to ring a little bit more often. People's tempers start to get a little short. Then I looked outside and I said, wow. The snow is really coming down. This is adding up. Then, a couple hours later, it was still coming down heavy. And I've experienced lake effect snowstorms before. I said, something's going on here, that Mother Nature is not fooling around now. I ended up speaking to Steve Brady, the spokesperson at National Fuel, ended up speaking to Steve Brady, the spokesperson at National Grid that night, and when I interviewed him, he said, hey, this is a Category 5 storm right now for us in terms of outages. He said it could be as early as Monday. So this was Thursday night. I'm thinking, wow, people are going to go without power for, 2 or 3 days. That's a big story. So we immediately, got that on the 10 o'clock news, and we knew something was going on. And then, you didn't realize the scope of it, of course, until you started going home that night. When I went home, that night, midnight, 12:15, 12:30. I've never seen anything like it. I took the 190 home. I couldn't go home because the 33 was closed. And I went home and I looked to my left over Lake Erie, over the Niagara River, and I looked, and it was dark clouds like I've never seen before. And then I saw these big booms of green light, which was lightning and thunder. And I said, my goodness, what's going on here? I never experienced anything like that before. Then I got on the highway and I was driving slow, and I saw cars off on the side, people in them, people trying to get help. It was frightening going home that night. And you didn't really see the scope of it until you woke up Friday morning. And when I woke up Friday morning, I was like, wow, this is devastating. I looked around my house, my neighbors. It was hard to recognize something I'd never seen before.
Heading out the door, all you see is the snow falling, and you can hear the tree branches falling around you and snapping, and that awful cracking noise that I don't think anybody will ever forget. And as you're driving into work, you realize that it's hard to move, it's hard to go anywhere because the conditions are so bad. And where did this come from?
What were the conditions?
You couldn't see the roadway from the grass, from the sidewalk. In fact, my car went off the road at one point, and I got a flat tire. Had to run home in the storm, get the other car, and start driving it a second time. As you make your way further and further down the road, the transformer fires that are illuminating the sky to the most odd shade of green, giving you the most eerie feeling, and trying to drive underneath power lines as they're sagging and dropping right off of the poles, and weaving around trees and branches at the same time, and just praying that you don't get hit and that you don't hit something else. It was the most unsettling, terrifying experience. And to finally arrive 2 hours after leaving, when in reality it's a 15-minute ride, and finding coworkers and just hugging everyone because you're so thankful to have made it safely and that everyone else has made it safely as well. But to see that 18 inches of snow on the ground was such a shock. My heart went out to Gary on Friday morning. He had been trapped overnight on the thruway, and he had been stuck there for 14 hours by the time we spoke with him. And the weariness in his voice, the frustration, and the uncertainty of what was happening. Why were all these motorists stuck? Why wasn't anybody able to move over a 14-hour period? And then I realized that I had a sister who was also trapped on the thruway, not far from where Gary was. Producers behind the scenes were trying to call her on her cell phone for me because I was so worried about her. And her phone was dying, and she was panicking a little bit. And she was out there struggling too. For 16 hours she was stuck.
There are tree branches dropping off the tree across the street. Tree branch behind me as I pull out of the driveway. And driving down Elmwood Avenue, it's still in the middle of a storm, which is kind of hard to describe. But you're seeing the rain is turning to snow and getting heavier and sticking to the streets. We pull up after dropping the kids off. We pull up to the Boulevard Mall, pull into the parking lot, step up to the JCPenney door, and the lights go out. The whole mall goes black. I look across the street. There's power arcing from line to line on behind the buildings on Niagara Falls Boulevard. It's at that point I look at the different cars. The drivers in the other cars are looking around like, are we going to get out of this? It was just unbelievable driving down these major streets and intersections going dark as you're approaching them. And I was just happy to get home at that point, pick up the kids and get everyone home safely. And then, the kids ask, do you think we'll have school tomorrow, Dad? And I look out, I'm like, I'm no meteorologist, but I don't think so. I parked my car in the neighbor's driveway thinking that, okay, if something happens in my driveway, I had to pull 3 branches out of the driveway. And when I say branches, there were tree trunks in the driveway behind the car. Had to drag them out just to get the car out. driving down Elmwood Avenue through 6 to 8 inches of unplowed snow. I get a call from the station. Julie Wolf is standing on the corner of Lexington and Elmwood and needs to be picked up because she can't get her car out. So it's took me probably 3 times the amount of time as it normally does to get to the station. Pull into the driveway, the car gets stuck in the driveway. Luckily, someone had shovels. Like many people, had to shovel the driveway so I could get into work, shovel out a parking space so I wasn't blocking the driveway for everyone else, and then get in on the air. At that point, I'm saying, okay, this is a little bit more than a normal snowstorm.
Limbs started snapping. I got up, got myself dressed, ready to come in and tackle the storm, but there was difficulty getting in. And I got to say, coming in that early in the morning was both I'd say scary and intriguing. A meteorologist always wants to be a part of the storm, and truly in this storm I was a part of the storm, having to go out. You can compare this with the amount of damage that took place with a hurricane. I've been through hurricanes. The last hurricane I've seen, I was in Richmond, Virginia, it was Isabel. I was without power for 2 weeks, okay? And so you're talking about widespread tree damage and power outages due to the winds. Okay, this was due to snow. All right, and with the amount of cleanup and the amount of days it's taking for the power to come back on, you can liken this to a hurricane, to hurricane type damage. You know, easy. Yeah, I do want to talk about something else. I think this is a really weather savvy town. Buffalo and Western New York have been through their share of storms, and I think a lot of people really know about the weather. I mean, they really know when you talk about snow, when you talk about winds, when you talk about ice, Buffalo knows what's going on. And so we really don't have to get all meteorological with terms and facts. People really know. And I like the way that this community responds to devastation. I've been in areas where, you know, again, we were out of power 2 weeks in Richmond before I got here. And there wasn't that much of a neighborly help going on like there was here. People respond, people react. There were folks that were out of the area that had, or just 25 miles away, that had sunshine and warm temperatures, who drove up this way to see what they could do to lend a hand. And that's Western New York, and I like that about this town, that no matter what goes on, no matter what Mother Nature brings, we'll be ready to handle it.
I met a bunch of kids doing this story throughout the area, and for them it was kind of an adventure. Obviously they loved being off from school, but for instance, one kid, their parents had set up a Coleman stove in the garage and they were cooking pancakes on it, and the kid said, our pancakes were delicious. So I think it was kind of a combination of vacation, inside camping trip, and a time also where the families got to really spend quality time with each other. We saw one kid who was playing Legos with his mom, and other kids were playing cards with their parents or watching DVDs on a portable DVD player. So I think one of the good things to come out of this was some good quality time for families. You know, the kids are so busy with dance lessons and sports and school and all that sort of stuff that I don't think families spend nearly as much time together as they used to. And this was a time where parents got to spend some good quality time with their kids, and I think the kids enjoyed that aspect of it.
I woke up Friday morning, roughly 5:30, and there was an ambulance stuck at the corner, and they were going to a rescue call, and everybody came out of the house to try and push this ambulance out, because we figured, you know what, whoever needs that ambulance, this thing's got to get there and get there fast. And everybody left their house to try to get this ambulance out, and they did. The ambulance eventually did get out of the snow and just boogied right back into the city of Buffalo. That was really nice to see. No one had to come out at that hour of the day, but it was 5:30 in the morning. Everyone saw the flashing lights, and the ambulance drivers didn't even have to ask, because there were so many people to come out and help push it out. It was organized chaos. Everyone had a battle plan on how to deal with the disaster, but now it's finally in front of them. Okay, we've planned for this, and now it's here. And to their credit, I think a lot of the elected officials really were on the ball as far as coordinating the disaster coverage. I would best describe it as organized chaos. That's exactly what it was. it wasn't like people were scurrying around, not having any idea what to do. But I think it was, okay, here's the disaster, and how do we deal with it? And they pretty much did. I mean, to their credit, a lot of the elected officials were pretty much on the ball because they had gone through a lot of planning to cover a disaster like this. It was, I think the craziest part about it was just trying to figure out where they're going to do these press conferences. Because I remember we bounced once from downtown Buffalo at noon. Then they wanted it at the Emergency Operations Center in Cheektowaga at 3. Then back downtown at 6 o'clock. So there was a little organized chaos as far as that was concerned because no one knew where we were going to do these briefings.
Thursday evening, oh my goodness, that's all I have to say about that. It was so surreal. I had company over. My nephew was over. So as they were leaving, we went outside, said, open the garage, let's get the garbage cans out, which we did. As soon as we were outside, we heard something snap, crackle, and then boom. We looked down the street. The trees started falling. Power went out. Couldn't close the garage. Huge limb fell in front of the garage. There is a car in the garage, so we couldn't back that out. We were in the dark, and I've been in the dark 6 days and counting, 7 days and counting. It changes your way of living. People who chose to stay at home, if they have a generator, that's great. Then there are others who are going through the refrigerator, throwing food out, going and whatever they can save. We talked to one couple, they had some blueberries, so they were making blueberry pie the best way they could. It was cold. Or taking whatever meats they had, and they were putting them in coolers. Your whole way of life has changed for at least 2 days, 4 days, 6 days, in some case 7 days.
There's two things that really stuck out the most to me during this storm. The first one was usually when we're covering things like this, it's pretty cold and snowy, and it wasn't this time. It was like actually warm, and which made it a whole lot more manageable, but different. But the second thing that really impressed me this time was the stress level that I was feeling. I mean, everybody's without power. We're covering people without power, people in tons of snow, people with trees down in their house. And well, I don't know if a lot of people realize, and they should, but that affects us too. And I was lucky. There was a reason I came home on Thursday night, because Friday morning I was able to get a generator. One of the lucky guys was able to get a generator. So by Friday noon, we had power. We had heat, we had refrigerators going, we had lights, we were even able to watch TV. Now, after 6-7 days of this, I noticed the stress level of the people, and they were at their wits' end.
I still had my power. I was one of the very fortunate in this area who never lost their power. I woke up about 5:30 Friday morning. Let me back up. I tried to go to bed, and the thing that struck me was the lightning, just the constant lightning, and every once in a while the flash and the thunder at the exact same time, and you could hear tree branches falling, and the thunder and light. It was very surreal. I'm thinking end of the world. It was really, really unnerving. I got about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours of sleep, and I woke up about 5:30, just as it was start getting light out. And I looked out my window, and I was just blown away. The branches that were covering just about every car in the neighborhood. I got dressed and picked up my camera and went outside and started taking pictures. A couple of branches are still falling. I'm looking up, constantly looking up. All these branches came from somewhere. When I got to work, it kind of came at me how widespread the devastation was. And from there, it was two on your side, baby.
You hit the button. Sit down.
I felt for the very first time in my life, as a veteran photojournalist, that I was the victim. I was one of the many victims, but I had to leave my home and I had to go out and do stories about other people. And that didn't feel normal to me, because normally I'm doing stories on other people and I'm somewhat removed from what's going on. But this time, I was one of the ones with trees on their house. I was one of the ones without power, and it was kind of an odd feeling. But with that said, came into work on Friday, and Friday was kind of a blur. I think Friday I primarily edited. I was with a tree crew from Binghamton and around Binghamton, and these guys had been working the better part of, days, and we were kind of in a staging area, and next thing you know, I see out of the corner of my eye this lady with this tray full of chicken noodle soup. She had like 5 bowls of chicken noodle soup, and she came over to these tree surgeons and thank you, thank you, thank you, you guys, here's piping hot homemade chicken noodle soup. And she handed it out to all of them. And it just made me feel good, you know, and to see these guys coming into our area to help us out. And they willingly did it. And you know, people think, well, that's the power company. Well, it's not just the power company. It's a bunch of individuals that all have families that miss their kids' birthdays or whatever to come and help people out, whether it's in Western New York or wherever it might be. And what's neat is I believe that we as Western New Yorkers do that as well. And over the experience of this past week, I've really enjoyed what I do, because I feel as though I'm getting a first-hand slice of life in Buffalo, and it's just, it's a really, really nice feeling to see people helping people around here. The morning was an adventure, just getting around, trying to drive through ruts, drive around cars, drive around down trees, underneath power lines. It was a real adventure just trying to get around.
Was it like a real surprise when you saw how many trees had been?
Yeah, I expected some, because I could hear some of the snapping out at my own house, but I didn't think we would find the amount of devastation that we found, especially up in the Lancaster, Clarence, Snyder area seemed to be really hard hit, because they had a lot of beautiful trees. I think a lot of people are going to have very disappointing summers when they're looking for that shade in the backyard, and it isn't there this year. Well, you know, I guess the difference between this and the blizzard of '77 was there, when the snow was flying, it was so cold, you know, you didn't get out of your car and talk about being stuck or you'd have froze to death. Here you could get out and talk, but I wasn't real surprised when I had heard that there were some fatalities in this.
When the storm first started coming, you know, I knew that there was going to be a long day ahead for all of us. I just had that feeling. It was that kind of a thing. I heard, you know, when the power went out, and I heard branches and trees and snow falling and branches popping and branches cracking. It looked like flashes in the sky. There was lightning. It was hard to tell whether it was lightning or whether it was transformers blowing up. And I knew at that point, when that stuff was going to start to happen, that it was going to be a long day. So I was waiting for a call from work, and I got a call from work probably just before 4 o'clock in the morning, and asked me to come in, and I said, yeah. So she said, the assignment desk person at the time, Aga, said, I can't get anybody in right now, can you get in? And I said, I don't know yet, I haven't been outside, let me go see. And I went outside and cleared very, very heavy snow off my windshield. It was just, the brush just wasn't going to handle it. I almost needed a broom, but I just wanted to get out of there. So I got out of there and got out of the driveway, and when I got up to, I live right off of Route 5, in the Hamburg area, and when I drove out of the street, there was probably about I'd say 5 to 6 foot pile of snow blocking me from trying to get onto Route 5, and I'm thinking, you know, might as well go for it. I'll either get stuck or I'll get through. And there was not that much traffic out. It was all pitch dark because the the electricity was out, and just kind of put it in four-wheel and blasted right through it and got my way onto Route 5 and started driving, and that's where I started to see trees falling, branches hanging over. It looked like a hurricane had hit, and then it had snowed. You know, and actually, as I was driving down Route 5, and it was so dark I couldn't see what was ahead of me that well. All of a sudden, upon me was a tree that had fallen onto Route 5, and I tried to avoid it. But as I was trying to avoid it, a car was coming in the opposite direction, and instead of, you know, I was trying to avoid the tree and avoid the car at the same time, and the tree smacked my windshield and cracked it. And so that's how I started my day.
People were screaming thank you to the truck drivers. Some of the tree crews from up north, Adirondack area, they said they never saw anything like this. They've never been applauded when they came into a work zone. But then again, some of them said they never saw such devastation. And they knew that they had to get these trees down and trimmed before the National Grid workers could restore electricity. So they knew how important their job was. And they said, you know, our job is hard under these circumstances, but it sure is nice to be appreciated by the residents. And, you know, we saw residents bringing coffee out to the workers and food, and they said they've never been treated like this before, and they weren't used to it. I think Mary Fiona said, like, you're being treated like rock stars. And he goes, yeah, but it's only going to last a week, you know? And, you know, I mean, that's great that they're being appreciated, but they're doing a big job. And I think it's going to last for weeks before everything's cleared up, months maybe. Right. And I have to go, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Thank you.